How does the minimap work in Modern Warfare 3? Test number 1 is what makes you show up on the minimap. On the left, you'll see a regular weapon being fired. On the right, the same weapon, but you're wearing the Comm's vest, a brand new vest that increases the length of time red dots show on the minimap. Isolating the red dots here, you'll see the CCT Comm's vest on the right actually appears on the minimap for a full 1 second longer. That's not just for gunfire, however. There's many ways you're going to appear on the enemy's radar, and I want to be testing out the attachments you need to use to stay off the map and what makes enemies show up on the map more. For example, UAV, the range of snapshot grenades, the comms vest, those details. Everything you need to know is going to be in today's video. Drop a like early if you'd like, or maybe later on. It's fine. My name's Gabba. Let's get into this video. So red dots. Here is Ground War. It's the biggest map you can play. This is over 600 meters away, and the red dots are still appearing. This is enemy gunfire, not decoys, because there's only 1 or 2 red dots rather than multiple in a row. So 600 meters away, that's every single multiplayer map. For a reference, Wasteland is only 214 meters away. So red dots really do travel the whole breadth of an entire map. So the red dots you see in the background are going to be unsuppressed weapons. But how do you suppress your weapon? There are 2 attachments of interest. One of them is the muzzle flash concealment. This does nothing, actually, towards keeping you off of the minimap. A lot of people believe it does. It actually just clears up your view a little bit. If you zoom in on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a lot less fire coming out of the weapon, and you flip the camera around, that's what the enemy sees. A bit less fire means you're more concealed in the dark, possibly. But the actual attachment that does keep you off the minimap is the suppressor, of course. If it states here, undetectable on enemy radar, that's the one. All the primary weapons get use of this suppressor except for 2, one of them being the riot shield, of course, and the other being the crossbow. That also doesn't show up on the minimap. There's another way that you can show up on the minimap, and that is calling in a kill streak. Some kill streaks you use make you show up on the minimap. So up first is a bomb drone. You'll see in the bottom left corner quite a large minimap. That is, of course, going to show the ferret in the sky, the little bomb drone. We all hate it in Warzone, but it does show up on the minimap quite clearly. You can shoot that out of the sky if you're quick enough. Next is the emergency airdrop. This also shows on the enemy minimap, but not your own, which is really bizarre. When you're calling an airstrike, you're going to show up in the enemy minimap right now. You see it in the bottom left corner. As soon as you call it in, you're there, and it does stack with the comms vest, which means if they're using a comms vest, you're going to show up on the minimap for 4 seconds after you've called it in. And they've balanced the Wilson by it being on the minimap at all times. Best to pair this with a counter UAV. Becomes very potent on a small map as well. And both of the juggernauts will also show up on the minimap at all times. You'll see them both. And this is the recon juggernaut in the background here. This comes with a freebie, a lifetime supply of UAVs. It lasts for the whole of that juggernaut's life and has a range of 31 meters. Talking of UAVs, did you know calling in an advanced UAV means the enemy get 1 sweep of a UAV for themselves? Bit of a weird balance to that. I'm not sure why. I'll replay that footage again. You get the streak for 1 minute, and the lucky opposition get 1 sweep lasting 3 seconds, which is just one little quick blip on their minimap, while you get the advanced UAV for a full minute. So let's talk about UAVs and Ghost for a moment before we move on to equipment. So there are 3 types of UAV in this game, as well as 2 pieces of equipment you may want to know about as well. In Ground War, you have a UAV that just circles around you. Anyone on your team can call it in, and it circles around you 270 meters. That's just the same distance inside Warzone. It's pretty good. It's the Warzone mechanics in a multiplayer game, essentially. But on the regular multiplayer maps, you're going to find a sweeping UAV that covers the entire map for your entire team. So on the left is a regular UAV. You've seen it many times. It lasts 30 seconds, and it can be shot down. The UAV on the right, however, is advanced. It lasts a full minute, and nobody can shoot it down. Only a counter UAV can just counter how much of the map people can see. A big difference, of course, is how the red dots behave. You can counter both of these UAVs with a ghost perk, partly. I'll show you that in a brief second. But the red dots on the left should have arrows above and below them to indicate elevation. That's a bug Call of Duty are working on. And on the right hand side, they won't have that, but instead they're live pings and it shows the direction of the enemy. So let's call in UAV versus somebody with Ghost on. Notice the red ping. Once they start moving, they're not going to show up for that 30 seconds. If they keep moving, they'll never show up on that minimap. How fast exactly do you have to move? Let me show you. Crawling is actually fast enough against this portable radar, which has the same detection ability as a UAV. Crawling on the ground works, as well as crouching. Just crouching on the floor, walking forward, left and right in a circular motion will be enough to keep you off of an enemy radar. Here is Ghost versus the advanced UAV. You notice the arrows have gone, it's now just a dot again, and it only happens during the sweeps. So even with Ghost, you're not completely immune to advanced UAVs, but notice the sweep only happens every 2 seconds rather than be a completely live ping. Ghost also counters 2 other things, one being the heartbeat sensor while you're moving. The heartbeat sensor's now become a field upgrade, by the way, but also a piece of gear called the Threat Indication System. It's brand new for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This is a piece of gear that when you are aiming at an enemy, they will highlight in front of you and on your minimap. But if you're wearing Ghost, this doesn't happen to you. It doesn't work against enemies with Ghost. This brand new piece of gear is fantastic at highlighting enemies for your entire team. They get highlighted for a full 5 seconds on the minimap. It doesn't work like a live ping. Need to be sure about that. If you ping them personally and you press up on your D-pad, that's much better, but this at least automatically, every single gunfight you have, you're highlighting the opposition for your teammates to understand. If you die, they know now where to pick up the pieces. While on the topic of gear, back to the comms vest once again, look at the difference in the minimap. You actually can see way more of it as well. It's partly zoomed out. Here they are overlaid over the top of each other for a reference. I think it's detailed as 20% more space, which is pretty useful on a bigger map. There's so much more information you can see at a glance. It's a fantastic little perk to have. Talking of perks, there is a brand new one called the Data Jacker. It works a lot like Scavenger. However, you're not collecting ammunition off the bodies, you're collecting pings of intel. Just like in Ground War, a little tiny mini UAV for just yourself. It reaches out 32 meters, and the little cell phones that the enemies drop despawn after around 20 seconds. So be nice and quick, run over the body, and you get a nice UAV ping for that local area. So lastly, on to the equipment. There's only 3 to go through, and 3 of these make you appear on the minimap. First of all, we have the snapshot grenade. They're back. They work through walls with a range of 9 meters. Secondly, we have the portable radar. That's back as well. That has a range of 19 meters and lasts for 30 seconds. There'll be a future video based on just this, the best locations on Modern Warfare maps to use it, so subscribe for that. This works just the same as a UAV, but in a little local area. Of course, if you're using Ghost, you will not appear on there while you're moving. So let's finish the video off with a really important piece of equipment called the EMD grenade. This is a brand new piece of equipment, difficult to unlock, but once you've got it, you're going to love it. Now, this works a lot like a concussion grenade. It has to hit the ground to explode. It has a range of 12 meters, and it shoots out a little bug, like a little tracker, to anyone nearby. This tracker will last for 30 seconds, unless they hold square to remove. Now, in some instances, they may not even be aware they're being tracked, because in a gunfight, a lot's happening. But what happens is, you can then track that enemy for 30 seconds as if they have Ghost on. So if they're running, you can't see them, just little dots on the floor. But if you can keep them still, they will actually be completely shown on the minimap as if they've got an advanced UAV almost. It's pretty crazy. Look at them when they move versus when they're static. So when they're moving, you're going to see little pools on the floor, little tiny UAV bursts. That's your tracker. So when an enemy stays still, you can see completely where they are. But if they're sprinting away, of course, you'll only see little pools on the ground, which is like a mini UAV almost. Now, this is quite interesting because they have to be moving faster than they do for Ghost to kick in, if that makes sense. Works really, really well. But as you just saw in the background, it only works once on one enemy per life. You can't tag them twice in the same life, if that makes sense. But something I've not covered at all in this video is the compass. The compass and the minimap are identical. At no point, you can scan back and forward through this whole video, the compass works exactly the same as a minimap, just so you're aware. PS, decoys don't need to be in Call of Duty. They're really freaking annoying. They've got unlimited range and they last for 19 seconds. Here's how they look on the minimap. They are quite disturbing and they do look exactly like an enemy shooting a gunfire. But over time, you get used to how they just dart around. It's really to get your attention away from where you're supposed to look. But that's the decoy as well as I say goodbye. My name's Gabba. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you could subscribe for future content on this channel. Take it easy. Bye.